What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crossblades podcast, where we talk about faith, pop culture, and everything else in between. I am your host, Samek. This is my co-host, Nico, and today, ChristXComix, named Kim, is returning for a new episode, which we're talking about superheroes.
Yes, we
Let's
are.
go.
Welcome back, ChristXComix.
What's up, y'all?
It's good to have you back, man.
Thank y'all so very much. This is a blessing indeed. I'm honored.
Yes. So, where to begin?
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Y'all
superheroes.
tell me. Surprise me. I want to
How
be
about we talk
caught off
about
guard.
the origin,
Sure.
almost, of where they how they kind of popped in, because
Mhm.
I do kind of have a few things to say about this. So, interestingly, the similar format of very short comics within the newspapers,
Mhm.
which there have been comics ever since the late 1800s.
Yeah.
But the superhero genre became very popular during the late 1930s, early 1940s. That's when it
Mhm.
started to really show up.
Uh-huh.
But it boomed, especially in the 40s and 50s, and then the 60s beyond. But originally, the formula that they did was very similar to the pulp.
Mhm.
So, pulp books or stories were short stories or sometimes full length novels that were posted in pulp magazines. It was called pulp because the paper was very cheap, called pulp paper.
Hmm.
That's where we saw stories like Conan the Barbarian, Solomon Kane, the twisted stories of H.P. Lovecraft, and several other big writers. Adventure, fantasy, action, espionage, a lot of that stuff, but they're in short
Right.
formats and they were cheap to make and cheap to buy. Well, that was very popular, especially in the 20s and 30s. But then, like I said, late 1930s comes out, comics start becoming a thing because, oh, well, it's pictures. This is interesting. A very simple format. And so you had Detective Comics and Action Comics. Marvel was still a thing. It was a thing. They started in 1934, I believe, with the Human Torch as one of their first superheroes.
Mhm.
But Superman is what really kicked off the superhero genre because we all know the infamous picture of a man in blue tights and
Yep.
Mhm.
red underwear on the outside holding a car up,
Yeah, and
and
I
people are
think
like,
that,
"Oh, what's
if I'm not
this?"
mistaken, that original comic, if you can find a first printing of it, goes for about $1 million.
Oh yeah, it's rare to find because the comics a lot of times are also printed on cheap paper as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually why you don't see a lot of pulp writing anymore, is because the comics kind of came and pushed pulp to the side.
Hmm.
So, anyways, Superman comes out in under Action Comics. So that really blows up. So, uh, but then there's Detective Comics. Now, Detective Comics, that was a weird one because they didn't do superheroes at first. It was, what the name suggests, Detective Comics. It was very
Sherlock.
Sherlock noir
Oh.
driven. Well, then Batman comes out of the blue.
Oh yeah.
In 1939, Detective Comics issue number 27. I had it, by the way, a reprint, of course. There's no way I had the original, but that was interesting because people find this magazine because it wasn't just the comic. The comic was just part of a magazine. There were other stories and stuff within a magazine. That's how comics used to be. And here you have this guy with a guy in a headlock and looks like he has bat wings, kind of swinging in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, interesting, he was not called Batman, he was called the Batman
Mhm.
because a lot of other earlier noir superheroes were like the Shadow, the Phantom. They kind of went with the similar.
Yeah.
They went with a similar
I
theme.
remember. I remember. There was actually a animated series called The Batman.
Hmm.
Wasn't that the one where he's more solid black and the red symbol? Isn't that the?
No, that's Batman Beyond.
I don't know. Okay.
No, the Batman TV show had a very interesting art style, to say the least.
Mhm.
But so yeah, he comes along and he actually killed every villain. Yeah, the whole Batman doesn't kill. No, he killed every villain. Joker was the first villain he didn't kill.
Yeah, yeah. I think we mentioned that in our comics episode, but
Yeah, but so he comes along, and then Marvel also starts to pick up. Well, a lot of people ask the question, well, why did they blow up? What made them so special that they kind of got rid of the pulps and they became the global phenomenon?
Mhm.
Well, timing. It came out during World War II, and the world, the world was at war, obviously, and it was everybody was on edge. They were stressed out, and these comics featured these heroes with unspeakable powers or intelligent minds doing extraordinary things.
Yep.
So, of course, in the time that was the hellhole of the 1940s, everyone was like, "Oh, well, this is nice." And of course, like Captain America also comes out during that time, and the first cover is him smacking Adolf Hitler in the jaw. Everybody loved it.
that's awesome.
So they're like, "Yeah, America!" So, and then post World War II, it had such a cultural impact that it never really died out.
Yeah.
It just kept going. It definitely has had its slumps in I think it was the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. There was definitely a drop in sales for superhero comics, especially early 2000s for Marvel. They almost went bankrupt. But yeah, that's kind of its origins.
Now,
Sorry,
one
I'm
thing to
rambling
point out
on.
with oh, you're good because I love that type of stuff. What I love about bringing up Captain America was, and this is what made me also love the original MCU movies, Captain America, Iron Man, and all of them. So when the Captain America comic was releasing and he's punching out Hitler, home Americans loved it. Military ones that were overseas and serving and were seeing that book, it made them frustrated because it was it was not true to what they were actually experiencing, and so it made the military actually upset to see that. And so then when you go back and you watch Captain America: The First Avenger, and he does the whole performance thing, and everyone's like loving it, but as soon as he goes overseas to where or into the midst of the war, they don't care. What is this? This isn't what it's really like. We don't care about this. Give us the girls. That's what we care about.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing about comic books too, is that line between fantasy and reality. I think that's also where we also start to see a blur of that line.
I can see that in all honesty. Something I would also say within superhero comics, I don't know why, but there is like I remember reading a Spider-Man comic that I got from a comic book shop and back where I used to live, and it literally had a it was a great comic. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
the one thing that was terrible about it, it shows literally a back shot of Mary Jane undressing. I'm like, you have such a great comic, and I'm like, you throw this in there? Give me a break. I
Just
was
like
like,
any
what,
other form of
15?
media, there's going to be fan service.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I didn't become aware of fan service in American comics
There.
until, well, my goodness, I'd say like the 2010s.
Really?
Because I wouldn't look at their material in that way. Because it was intentional, but it wasn't intentional. Like there's outfits for just skin tight, and they're going out to do superhero work. So it's just like you kind of ignored it almost. Where with manga, it's like, oh, we're intentionally making you look at this area. We're intentionally making you look at this body. And it's like, oh, did you do it too much? So it's a little. There's a difference. I can't explain it, but there's for some reason a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. But I would say with manga, I think it's a little more obvious because because Japan is known sort of thing. It's kind
Right,
of in
right.
it's I'm not saying it's a good thing, but people argue it's their culture. Culture or not,
Hmm.
it's still bad.
Right, right, right. Now
Like,
to kind of
oh,
double
go
back
ahead.
with the initial question of like what got comic books and superheroes specifically started. I don't remember the exact history. I'm just aware that it kind of stems from like what we get with like Greek mythology, where you had your gods, but then you had your champions. that would fight, and the gods would recognize that champion because they would be that human that would step into very dangerous situations. And so that person who's the champion was also looked at as the hero, and people loved those stories. And that's not just something innate to, let's say, the Greeks. That's innate in every culture. They may have their deity and their mythos, but then they also have a champion that fights the monsters here in the regular realm. And so I think that's another thing that's been translated into our material.
Yeah, like with what is his name? The guy who took on Medusa and all that stuff, and in Greek
Was it
mythology.
Achilles?
Perseus.
Perseus,
Perseus.
yes,
Oh, Perseus. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Perseus, and then Hercules, and then there's the equivalent with the Romans and all that.
Achilles,
Yep.
And even with the Aztecs and the Mayans and all that stuff, all great cultures have their mythos and their heroes and whatnot that they would tell behind through word of mouth and through campfire.
I mean, if you look at it through that lens, even the Bible would technically fall within that category, even though, yes, we as Christians, we believe it to be true, but it's very similar in the aspect of you had your heroes, and you had, the heroes that were recognized by God, and many a times were powered by God. Yeah. So yeah, it's like you said, every culture has its mythos and its heroes. And I was actually going to talk a little bit about how superheroes relate to gods, because it's interesting because so a lot of people wonder why they wore underwear on the outside. Well, it was because they, and also if you look at specifically how the superhero build was originally. Of course, now they make them so unrealistically just ripped. And, originally they just had muscle mass.
Right.
They were based off 1930s fighters like boxers or wrestlers. And for some reason, the wrestlers would have those big belts and tights and underwear over on top of the tights. So that's where they got the inspiration for a lot of superheroes, was just kind of, let's just base it off this wrestler here,
Right.
So but yeah, it's kind of interesting because if you look in especially now, if you look at superhero comics and other stuff, you do see a lot of parallels of, like, especially Justice League, for an example. The main 7 members are parallel to, like, the Greek gods.
Which, in my opinion, that's one reason why I'm not a huge fan of DC, because of that. I hate to say, but I just couldn't get into DC for multiple reasons, but that is one of them.
I loved DC, but to be honest with you, I loved it because of Batman.
I'll give you that one. Batman
and Green Lantern. I loved Green Lantern. He was just so cool.
But you guys can burn me at the stake if you want. I do not care. I
don't care.
Might have to.
That's fine.
What?
Because
you're gonna get the gasoline.
Here's the thing. I used to have to be burned at the stake because I was a Superman hater. I don't care for overpowered. I never have. I've never been a fan of you're just maxed out from the jump. I don't like you. Get out of here. I can't stand you.
Let him finish.
I hate maxed out characters. However, I started to pay attention to his character himself, and that started to make me appreciate Superman as a character. And that's why I love the recent Superman movie. James Gunn did an amazing job with Superman. I can't wait for more of the movies. I even love what he's about to do with Supergirl. I think that's going to be amazing as well.
Let's hope that they have fun.
And that's when you think about the biblical motivations for Superman, that makes me love him even more. So, like, he's honestly up there for me. He's up there with Spider-Man for me, if I'm being totally honest. And that took a lot for me to get there.
That's a fair assessment. However, if you say you don't like overpowered,
you can't bring up L. You can't bring up L. That is not fair.
You mean from Death Note? No. That's
Luffy.
the only. Oh yes, Luffy. Yeah, that's exactly what I was
thought you
going
were
to
say One Punch
Man. Absolutely unfair.
It is.
That is not the same. Even close.
It is the same.
You have to get over 1,000 chapters before you get that strong, and even then, he burns out. So he's actually very defeatable. He can still drown. And when you read it from the beginning, I'm telling you, every opponent Luffy has had. See, now you're gonna get me on a rant. Every opponent Luffy has
What have
from
I
the very
done?
beginning of the series is somebody that can beat him, except Axehand Morgan and Alvita. Everybody else is technically a counter to him, from Klahadore to Don Krieg. Arlong is a counter to him. Water, like literally counter. Crocodile counter. Every Pretty much every opponent going forward throughout the series should be able to beat a rubber person. Luffy put rubber stretching on the map because it was so underdog of an ability.
Yeah.
No one was talking about Plastic Man. No one was talking about Mr. Fantastic stretching. They like his intelligence, not his stretching. They always talk about Luffy.
Yeah.
Luffy put stretching on the map.
I love
Nobody
how
tell
we
me
still circled back to anime, even though we're talking about superheroes.
I know. We're gonna actually clarify something. Can I go ahead and knock it out? We
Yeah,
can go ahead
you
and
go ahead.
Yeah, go
get it
ahead.
off the table. Okay, we're talking about superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Is Luffy a superhero?
I'd say so. He's literally a main character of a very popular manga. I really think that he could count as a superhero personally because it's in a comic, and he does superhero like things. I really do. I think he counts.
Samek?
I would say yes, but the setting is not very typical of a superhero. Like he's interesting because he literally checks every box
Mm-hmm.
except the setting, because he's a pirate.
Yeah.
So I would say yes and no.
Okay. So on 2 occasions, Luffy has been noted to say, "I am not a hero. Don't call me a hero. I am not a hero."
Forgot about
Now
that. You're
people like to
right.
kind of just shrug it off like, "Oh, Luffy's just talking outside of his neck." But when we get to Gear 5, when we get to Sun God Nika, now he's stepping into the divine realm, not the hero realm. And as we just pointed out with Old Mythos, there is a difference between who your champion is versus who your god or savior is supposed to be. And so I think that's kind of also what they're doing in that story. And when we're talking about superheroes like Superman and them, I think they actually they dance on that line of divinity versus heroism because they have their pantheon in their verse. Like Darkseid would be one of their gods, and there's so many others,
Yeah.
but they kind of dance on the line of that as heroes.
I find that when it comes to Luffy specifically, that um he's more of a I had to say that not head to say this, it's a good thing. Sorry. He is a friend. You know what I'm saying? And you should not put a
That's it.
friend above God.
Come on.
Does that make sense? Because
No, absolutely.
a friend is there, like like Frodo and Sam, for example. You know what I'm saying? Frodo would be technically a hero, but Sam was his friend who carried him through Mordor.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same
Yep.
thing for Luffy. He carries his crew
Yep. 100%.
as the captain.
100%.
So, in that regard, in some relationships, which it shouldn't be that way because it's toxic, you should not put your friends above your relationship with God. And that's how I think Luffy is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what I was going to say on
Okay. I think that's an interesting thing when we're talking about, let's say, comic book heroes,
that.
is I think it's our instinct to, as people, to take a hero to the position of God when that's not even what they're trying to do.
No.
And like people have done that with Iron Man, they've done that with Superman, they've done that with Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
they've done that with the Avengers. Like they're gods. No, no, we're not trying to be your gods. We're just here to do the work and do the helping of that we're able to do. We're not necessarily bringing you into salvation, if that makes sense.
I've mentioned this before in another episode, but there is a whole entire album, and I did mention it before we started the podcast, by Black Belt Brides called The Phantom Tomorrow. I've told Samek about it.
Hmm.
It's where the story's about this world where Christianity has become literally a symbol of darkness in the entire world. It's literally like the cross is
Okay.
really a symbol of hatred. Does that make sense? Everything is completely
Yeah,
dark
yeah,
in terms of Christianity.
yeah.
But their savior, or quote unquote the hero, is named Blackbird. And the whole concept is the slow descent of the people slowly turning on Blackbird because they see him as a god, as their savior from the bad guy who is, I think, called
Hmm.
the Nine or something like that. Or and he and the whole premise is about avatarism, if you know what that is.
I think I understand.
Avatarism is where you put a individual or someone on a higher pedestal, and then when they fail you, you
Hmm.
turn on them.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
So
I
that's
got
the
you. Okay.
entire concept of the entire album. The saying,
Wow.
and it's so well written. If you listen to the music, you'll understand it. And there's a whole breakdown of each song by Andy Biersack talking about what they mean and everything. So you should check it out.
I will. No, they're on my list. Trust me. I've been wanting to listen to some other artists, so you gave me someone new to listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Fan Tomorrow by Michael Vibes. It's relevant to the superhero genre because it's about Blackbird being the superhero. In fact, they actually have 2 issues of a comic they made from Sumerian records based off of the story. I don't know if
Oh,
you can still get
okay.
them, but you might be able to. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. I'll have to
So,
check that
all
out.
right, back to superheroes. Or the original topic. It is on topic, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Something that I find interesting about Superman is another a guy I know named Grayson. Him and I had a conversation about Superman,
Mhm.
and he was like, a lot of people saw him as like, oh, he's a Boy Scout, or oh, he's too heroic, he's too, you know, optimistic, and he's
Mm-hmm.
not dark enough. Well, Man of Steel comes along to try and give a darker tone. Well, then they throw a fit about that. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like nobody can ever be happy about Superman because then they make Superman lighter again in this new Gun movie. I haven't seen the whole movie. What I've seen, it looks interesting, but I will admit my gripe is I feel like they made him too much of a wuss. Because literally the opening scene is him getting the crap kicked out of him, and I'm like, okay, I get it, but could we, make him kick a little more butt? But anyways, that's just my personal criticism. But and to the conversation him and I had, he was like, "This is what makes Superman good." He said, and what a lot of people miss to the point for a Man of Steel, because he's so powerful, you have to give him a identity or internal crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes his character so good, is because with Man of Steel, and despite its flaws, Batman vs Superman, what they were going for was, okay, you have this man who was raised among us, raised to be a human man, but he is not human, and he,
Right.
has these godlike powers, as they called it. And it's like, well, what would that look like in a real life scenario? You would have people who would fear him, and you would have people who would worship him.
Mm-hmm.
And you have him as the individual wanting neither.
Yep.
He's like, and he struggles with, well, am I supposed to be a savior to these people? Or should I make people fear me? But if I do that, then people won't trust me. And it becomes this very, hard struggle. And of course, you have Batman saying, like, he's a threat. He could wipe out the entire universe if he wanted
Mm-hmm.
to. And that gave a really good conflict. Not necessarily done correctly, but the conflict in and of itself was a really nice idea. And then, of
Okay.
course, he sacrifices himself for the world that hates him. Because at this, later in the movie, pretty much everybody else hates him, but now Batman sees him as a hero, and then he
Right.
sacrifices himself to save the world that hates him.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
So
of course, he resurrects, and he essentially embraces, kind of comes to this, realization of, now I'm talking about the Zack Snyder Justice League, not the whatever we
right, right,
got
right,
with
right.
Joss Whedon. He's like, I have my mother, I have my wife, and my soon-to-be born child. I have them to take care of, and the scene where he puts on the black suit, kind of symbolizing him being reborn, and kind of him embracing a little bit more of, I wouldn't say necessarily him embracing a dark side, just kind of letting go of his hopeful optimism and more
Mm-hmm.
of a grounded reality. And Zack Snyder definitely did intentionally put some themes of Christianity within that character, because like at one point, he even flies and kind of spreads his arm out to form a bit of a cross.
Right.
Cinematically, it looked pretty cool, I have to admit. And then, of course, he comes at the last minute and saves the rest of the Justice League and sets himself up as the symbol of hope. So it's like that's what, like you were saying, the character of Superman, even though he's very overpowered, it's like his symbolism and the inner conflict is what makes his character good. It's just the problem is not a lot of people, especially throughout the comics, knew how to do that.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I always gripe about with the people who say they love the James Gunn movie and they're either atheist or agnostic. I'm like, you do realize you hold the Lex Luthor position. You are Lex Luthor. You're not like a citizen that loves Superman. You're not one of those. Because you agree with Lex that Superman is a problem and ought to be dealt with. We don't know where you're from. We don't know who you are. We've studied everything about you, but yet we still hate you. And we want to end everything that you stand for, not just in power, but also in reputation. That's literally what those that don't believe in God aim to do. And it's shocking because there's like a self reflection. And it honestly motivates me to still believe in what Christ aims to do, which is he has a hope that all men be saved. Is that they yet still believe that if they can look at Superman and say, "Hey, we love that," I'm like, bro, you should just go ahead and love Jesus at this point.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
I had a question. One of my favorite superheroes next to Spider-Man is actually, if you could count him as a superhero, is Ghost Rider.
I think that's valid. I would count him as a superhero.
And
Absolutely.
I would like for your opinion, Mr.
More of an anti-hero, but he still fits in the category.
Yeah, I'd like your
What
opinion.
makes him anti? I'm gonna give it, but I want to understand the anti part because there's nothing anti about him as far as I understand.
Might be just his
well, more of the original. So, anti-hero nowadays
Deadpool.
kind of has lost its meaning. Nowadays, anti-hero is like one step away from being a villain. Originally,
Right.
an anti-hero was more of they strived for heroic things. They just did it in more of a dark and brutal way.
Mhm.
Punisher.
Right. Right.
Punisher was the far end of the original anti-hero. Nowadays, most anti-heroes go beyond him.
Yeah, like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Deadpool was originally a villain.
Yeah.
He was not an anti-hero or a hero. But anyways,
That's what I would peg that title to.
Like
In this
Ghost
more
Rider.
modern translation, you are correct. Ghost
that's a
Rider
more
would
modern
probably be
translation.
a anti-hero, and for me,
Yeah.
he's always been a favorite of mine because of what he serves to do, which is technically judge sin.
Mhm.
But then the more you learn about his origin, because people love to just offshoot and say that Ghost Rider serves God, he actually doesn't serve
No.
God. He's being influenced by a demonic entity,
Yeah.
so that makes that
Mephisto.
even more complex. He's being manipulated by Mephisto, but through the power of Zarathos, where Zarathos is a demon slash angelic entity.
Yep.
And so there's like a back and forth in how they use Zarathos. But ultimately, he serves ultimately good.
Mhm.
And that's why I like him. I like him a lot. I'd love to look more at his inner turmoil,
Yeah.
but they've gotten away from the spiritual side to get more into more of the powerful aspect of it and exploring it through different characters, the new Ghost Riders.
Mhm.
And so I think the plot is being lost from that standpoint. Similar to Nightcrawler. I feel like Nightcrawler's plot's lost too.
That's a fair assessment. But in his depiction with uh what was his name? In the movies from 2008, uh,
Nick Cage.
yeah, Nick Cage with Nicolas Cage. What is your opinion on that?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. The penance stare is a masterful gift.
Okay.
The
Mhm. Sorry,
what were you gonna ask? Go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to ask. I feel like the second one was a little bit all over the place. Great CGI.
Agreed.
Don't get me right. Don't get me wrong. Great
Agreed.
CGI. However, the story was just like meh, except
Mm-hmm.
for the ending. The ending was great. The ending was perfect. I love the ending. But you were the worst bleeping deal I ever made. Back to hell. I love that.
Now, if I recall, the reason he became Ghost Rider was because he sold his soul. Am I
Yes,
remembering
he
that
sold
right?
his soul to. I know the story. Can I say it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay,
absolutely.
he sold his soul to save his dad from cancer, but then he was tricked by Mephisto,
Hmm.
and he cured his cancer, but he killed his father off in a biking accident because he's a stuntman, and so
We
he
will have
was
to segue to another topic after that, but yes, go
yeah,
ahead.
and so with the blood, he actually like in the movie he actually cuts his hand on the this on the is it the scroll and whatnot, which was the binding document or whatever, and that
Right.
was enough to he say, oh, yep, that's enough. Then he sold his soul to them. But
Okay. Okay.
um, but then he didn't have to deal with the powers until Mephisto had a threat, which was Blackheart. Blackheart
Hmm.
was the reason why the Ghost Rider came out of his body because Blackheart was the threat, and that was what his calling was to defeat Blackheart.
Mm, okay. Yes. Yes. I remember that now.
And I'm
Now
going
the
based
thing
off
with
of the
that
movie with
though,
Nick Cage. I don't know the comics. I haven't read any of the comics.
That's pretty close to the comics with a few slight variations.
Okay, okay.
I don't know a lot about Blackheart, but I always remembered Blackheart being almost like an infantile evil,
Hmm.
almost like it's like Meruem, but like a slower build
Who's
with his
Marilyn?
character, Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know Hunter. Hunter. Yeah, I just this is
Like Meruem just thought, I'm king, I'm gonna rule, da da da. But then he kind of started to observe humanity a bit more closely, so his perspective shifted.
yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of thought that was the narrative with Blackheart, but it seems like I might be wrong.
Maybe,
Not in the movie, but just in general.
but
But I think the thing that I loved then, but I don't like now, is the concept of selling your soul.
yeah, because
When
I
you
don't
come to that reality that doesn't happen.
know. I get what you're saying. Real
That was
quick.
the one thing that I really couldn't get on board. I mean, I remember as a kid seeing a little bit of Ghost Rider, the flaming head, the motorcycle, the chain, it
Yeah,
looked all cool. But
Like it's a chain.
when you look at it through a theological or even spiritual perspective, that is why I could never get on board with it because it's like it has been debated on whether or not you can actually sell your soul or not. I'm not really going to go into that, but just the concept of essentially giving what God, remember because God was like, it's better to lose the world and keep your soul than to gain the world and lose your soul.
yeah,
Hmm.
So it's like that to me is almost like a very pretty in your face depiction of literally just giving your all to the devil.
yeah.
And they kind of painted it as this, oh, but he's the good guy image.
That's a
And
fair
Right.
assessment.
I know different people have different opinions on it. That is one thing that I just never really could get on board with. I
Uh,
understand the appeal. Now, one thing though, I think I mentioned this in the last time we talked,
mhm.
but originally Jesus was actually supposed to save Ghost Rider.
Really?
Yeah,
They're best friends. In old Marvel comics, they're best friends.
in old Marvel comics, they were going to do an entire arc where Ghost Rider goes on this
Still
big
bought that
quest, and
comic,
and
mind
then
you.
finally Jesus comes and is like, I'm the only one who can set you free from
If you
this.
can send me screenshots or
They
panels
never
from that,
published it.
you've got to be kidding me.
They never published it.
Oh,
What?
They had it.
Is
They
that why I
had it.
can't find it?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. They had it written. They even had it drawn. You can find some panels of it
mhm.
somewhere, but the execs told him to rewrite it.
Uh,
So he made it to where I think I forget the deity, but they made it another. It was essentially the same story. You just replaced Jesus with a different deity.
stupid.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I'm like, dude, that would have been one of the most epic
So here's the
pro
thing.
Christianity stories. A man losing his way to the devil and coming back to Jesus to earn his soul back. I'm like, that would have been so cool. But of course, the execs in Marvel, a lot of them are very anti-Christian.
So real quick, I wanted to say on the topic of Ghost Rider, and this is technically still on topic. If you do sell your soul, can you get it back? That's something I would like, based on your guys's, biblical knowledge, because that's something I've always wondered. Like someone who's like been in Hollywood, for example, and you know, like, uh, and like who did sell their soul for fame and fortune. But if they did come to Christ, would Christ give it back to them? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, of course he
Yes,
would.
100%.
If you truly repented, cast away your sins, and come to him, then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Christ would definitely kick some demon butt, and you would earn
Okay.
your soul back.
Okay.
I've heard of different people who were in the occult who claimed to have sold their souls,
I've just heard different.
and they said that when they came to Christ, they earned it back. They had to deal with a lot of spiritual warfare after the
Of
fact,
course.
but their soul was secure in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, they had to definitely go through a ton of deliverance and prayers and getting rid of all that stuff to get rid of, all the spiritual junk.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
And that's basically Ghost Rider's fight, really, if we're being honest. It's literally the fight for him to be set free, in a sense, keep the power. But he's doing it by himself. That's why his road is so long.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at that in the same light with Berserk. Like, Berserk is a world where Jesus doesn't come and save you. Like, that's basically all it is. It's like Guts is having to beat demons with no Jesus. Can you imagine how hard that is? That's very difficult to do. So, that's one thing I do love about his concept, though, is that that's a real conversation to have with people. You're struggling? Oh, I get it. It's kind of depicted like Ghost Rider struggle.
Yeah. I would like to say, and Samek, you're gonna hate me.
Bleach.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
We're supposed to be talking about heroes.
We literally had an entire episode of him.
I'm almost done editing it. I was literally editing it when he came into the channel. Just being honest.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the unofficial Bleach podcast.
I'll shut up.
Dude,
I'm gonna let you cook.
It's a joke. It's a running joke. You go ahead.
Okay. If you guys don't want me to talk about it, I won't. But
No, you go ahead.
all right. So thing is that I remember the scene with Ichigo when he was fighting Kenpachi. Okay. And when you see Zangetsu walking towards Ichigo, that is such a Jesus save me moment. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yes.
And I'm like, he even looks like Jesus. You know what I mean? I hate to say that, but without the sunglasses, he looks like Jesus.
It's bittersweet when you know what you know.
What do you mean? Oh, that he's
Did you finish 1,000 Year?
Yeah, that he's actually Yuha. I know. But it sucks.
Yeah, which translates to
I tyrant God.
Yahweh.
I know.
Well, it translates to Yahweh.
Yuhaba?
Yeah, Yuhavak is German for Yahweh.
What? Oh gosh.
Yes.
And he's a
Yuhavak is German
God.
for Yahweh.
I think you just ruined his favorite one, right?
That's why when he was born, he was giving people gifts and abilities and healing them. He's the Soul King is his father, but it's based off Gnosticism because it's the aspect that Jesus would rebel against God because they also believe that Lucifer is Jesus, and yeah, that's all. That's all of that. That's that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that just gave me more of a reason
Yep.
to watch it.
I get it. That's fine, Samek, but I'm not gonna stop loving Bleach for that reason. I can just say, screw that guy. You know what I mean? Just
am I allowed to steal this for a skit? Can I do a skit of this?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it. I don't care.
Okay, because I have to do that.
What do you have in mind? What do you have in
It's going to be like, man, I love Bleach so much. I love the moment when he's fighting Kenpachi and then Zangetsu shows up. It's like when Jesus shows up because he kind of looks like Jesus. I'm like, you and who is he based off of? I was like, yeah, Yuhavak. Yuhavak is Yahweh. It is? Yes. Because Yuhavak translates to Yahweh in German. No. Yes. No. And he's going to freak out. No. I'll just have a whole panic.
Just have the Darth Vader. No. It's fair. That's it. I never knew that, but thank you for bringing that to my attention.
I mean, I still love that part of Bleach. It's still something fruitful to point out for Bleach lovers. So it's still there, even when we're talking about like Ghost Rider having contracts. It's like it doesn't make it evil for a Christian to enjoy Ghost Rider. It sparks the conversation, which is our responsibility to have with each other.
Yeah.
But then also have a non-believer. It's like, you don't actually sell your soul, but if you do, think that way, I can tell you this, that Jesus can redeem you. So
Yeah.
it puts us in a position to still draw people to the Lord.
Oh yeah,
It's still a
totally.
win for
Yeah.
Jesus every time.
But this episode is just awesome. This is an awesome
Hmm.
episode.
But yeah, like to the whole Bleach thing. I mean, this could be an entirely different episode, but it's like, why do people, writers throughout, which I know the answer, but it's like, why do y'all feel the need to always to pull something like that with Christianity?
I think that should be an
It's like,
episode between you and I about the
yeah,
evils of Hollywood. We do have that planned,
yeah.
but
But you know what I mean? It's like you could see it through Hollywood, through manga,
Hmm.
through video games, literally everywhere. You'll be enjoying something, and then they'll just go and slip in a little anti-God moment or message, or even
I,
make that the whole
can I
point of
give
the
my
thing. And
opinion?
it's like, really? I was enjoying this. You just had to do that.
Can I give my opinion on that? It's
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you don't see that with other things. People debate that, there's like, I saw a video on TikTok where someone was saying they're always, depicting God as the evil one and Jesus as the evil one. While they say they don't do it for Muslims. They did it. Well, it's a book. Like they don't do it for Buddha. They did it. It's a book. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's always Christianity they do it the most with. It's only one or
Hmm.
two with these other religions. You know what I'm saying? It's always, and I know
Hmm.
why. It's because it's the truth. It's
Hmm.
attacked because it's the truth.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, that's like I said, I knew the answer. It's just, yeah, it's
And
like that's.
on that note, it's probably controversial to or a hot take to look at it this way, but
You're good.
I grew to this point because of Supernatural, because they mentioned
Show?
him one time. Yes, the show.
Yeah, yeah. With
They
those two
mentioned
dudes.
Jesus once. Yes.
Okay, yeah,
They
I know.
even fight God. Like they make God evil
Hmm.
and they have to fight God.
Ah,
And then they kill God and give his power to somebody else. It's a whole thing. But
sounds like
what I
Platinum End.
realized was, hmm?
Sounds similar to Platinum End.
What's that?
Platinum End. The Death Note.
Oh yeah.
It's,
Oh yes, yes. I haven't finished it yet.
oh, okay. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it has.
Okay,
But you've
thank you.
been reading it. I'm not gonna spoil
No, so they only mentioned Jesus once, but
anything.
I came to the conclusion is that the reason why they portray Jesus in these alternate ways is because they otherwise wouldn't know how to depict him for who he really is. They can't capture that for anybody. The only one that still is doing a bad job at it, but is coming the closest, would be, in my opinion, Ichiro Oda through Luffy. Like I think that's the closest you're getting outside of Superman of depicting Jesus in this world. It's the closest you get. But Jesus is hard to capture,
He is.
especially if you want to do it right.
Yes. But I think that Angel Studios is doing a good job through The Chosen, in my opinion.
Yes, yeah, he still gets scrutinized, but yes.
I think it's a good depiction of him because it shows, like, unlike in The Passion of the Christ, he was very robotic, if you ask me. I understand why. I understand why.
Mm.
I
He's
mean,
a
that
Hmm.
liar.
entire movie was just about him getting tortured. So
I know, but still,
Yeah,
he was very, very robotic. But in The Chosen, as I've said before, he is very, very human. You see him get angry. You see him get sad. You see him laugh. You see all those things. But it's still
right.
human. That's the thing that
Hmm.
so many depictions of Jesus forget to capture in Christian media.
mm,
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So that's just my
Yeah,
hot take.
no, I think you're
no,
actually
yeah, I
absolutely
agree. I
right
love The
on that.
Chosen, but yeah, it's like, I mean, like I said, this could be a whole different episode, but it's like, yeah, it's like you see it throughout every form of media. It's like they constantly want to put the jab at God, and it's like that really makes you beg the question: how many of these writers absolutely hate God with a passion, and how many of them actually are,
Well,
actually serve the devil, stuff like that. So it's like that is one thing that that comes up in conversation with, especially superheroes, but really it could come with any form of media. It's like you have to have discernment. You have to use your eyes and test the spirits, and definitely be aware of what you're reading,
Mhm.
and trust listen to what the Holy Spirit tells you. Because there's quite a few times people are like, oh, well, I love this, but it has this, 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 and this. I don't really think I should keep it. I'm like, look, if you have an inclination of the Holy Spirit saying, get rid of it, get rid of it.
we talked
Hmm.
about that in our episode with him before, with how he did it with
Yep.
Fairy Tale.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's like, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
If it's causing problems, even if it's in of itself not inherently bad, if it's causing you spiritual problems or something within your house, just get rid of
Just
it.
better to let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
It's an earthly
Die
thing.
to yourself and follow Christ.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I think it's pretty obvious that there are quite a few comics, manga, TV shows out there that are flat out straight up demonic
Yeah.
and straight up trying to promote a anti-God, anti-Christian message. And we as Christians should be smart enough to see that and discern that and stay away from it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there are people who have taken it too far.
Oh yeah. I don't think Bleach would be one of those people personally, because it's still a good versus evil battle. Personally,
Mhm.
I don't think
Right.
Bleach is one of them. Now, yes, it does have some religious references in it. Yes, like with the Yuha Baha stuff, but it's still a good versus evil story at the end of the day.
That's right.
I can understand that, but also at the same time, you do have to be careful with even something like that because the enemy. I have my feelings about Bleach. I have my feelings about certain things that y'all would disagree with me on, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But one thing is though, even with the good versus evil, a lot of times you can see how they will slip in things
The
that are
slights.
definitely
Right,
very
right.
yeah. So it's like even then you like I said, you just be in prayer and use your discernment to
Mhm.
see what is good to watch and consume
Mhm.
and what is not. Because at the end of the day, it's been proven many times you are what you consume.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where I always encourage for every believer that gets into a medium, you have to be prepared to speak to it.
Mhm.
There's some things where you just say, I don't want nothing to do with me personally, but your ministry doesn't stop until God takes you home.
Yeah.
So if we're going to be in this space, we do have to be able to speak to those things. So if I ask myself the question, what if someone asks me about you? How about, is that how Jesus really is? I'm like, no.
No.
Jesus doesn't give and take away. The Bible tells us God gives a gift and he does it unrepentantly. All of our gifts are non-returnable. Yuhavok could take his power back from you anytime he wants.
Yeah.
God doesn't do us like that.
Yeah.
Jesus does not do us like that. The Holy Ghost does not work that way.
No.
And it's like, and now I just gave somebody comfort about Jesus. And I have to be prepared for that. I can't expect everyone to be that mature, but I do have to have that kind of faith because this is the space that I'm in.
Yeah, and I feel like knowing Bleach in that regard and knowing that information gives you that door to something.
Mhm.
So I think that's a huge deal.
Now it's gonna definitely also the thing I always say is the biggest one is that what they do from chapter to chapter to chapter or volume to volume to volume. Like that's where Fairy Tale was mine was because it's like every volume, almost every chapter, some clothes got to be ripped off. Someone's magic is just they're overpowered for no reason. There's no cost to the magic that they do. My issue with Don. It's just like we're gonna rip clothes off in this scene, and then we're gonna have these kids fight spiritual entities. High school kids fighting demons and ghosts and witches? No, I'm good. I don't need that in my life.
I get you, man.
That's dangerous.
Can I give you a little insight about my story real quick?
Yeah.
So my story with for those who don't know, I am working on a comic manga called Feral, which is a veterinary manga. In fact, there's going to be actually a scene where it's actually quite the opposite with the whole Yahabaho situation. Jason, the main character, goes to hell and fights Satan to free one of his friends with the power of God on his
Dante's Inferno, anyone?
side. Yeah, so let's just say that
Now, is it to kill him or just beat him up?
he literally leaves him with in a bloody pulp saying, "You know your time is coming. It's just not now."
Mm, okay,
Because
okay.
it's not
I can
my
get
job
behind
to
that.
it's not my job to kill you. I know who's to do it.
Yes.
And it's not I know who's gonna kill you.
hmm
But this is for hurting my friend and for chaining him to you.
That's good. That's good.
So
I mean, that's similar
Now,
to some of the things I'm writing. It's like people definitely argue about, like magic and demons and stuff like that. To me, I'm like, I think it really depends on the context.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of any form of media, you see a lot like everybody's using magic, conjuring spells, and
Well, I
I
found
really don't really vibe with a lot of that because it's like the Bible has explicitly many a times spoken out against using magic, witchcraft, sorcery, and stuff like that.
yeah.
But the way I do it in my stories is it's present, but it's one, I don't use
it.
any actual, I don't promote it, I don't use any actual chanting or symbols, but it's
Mm,
always used, it's always like the bad guys use it.
right.
It's like they use it and it's to kind of, it's used for the purpose of showing you how far gone they've gone to the dark side,
Sounds like
essentially.
Sauron from Lord of
And
the Rings.
it's that's essentially how I treat it.
Basically.
I treat it very similarly to Lord of the Rings. It's like the magic is used is this forbidden demonic power that is used by these evil entities, and demons are also very present, but they're essentially the evil, and then you have the good fighting against it, and the good
Mhm.
never uses evil to fight evil.
Okay.
It's never the whole he's
Mm.
casting out demons with the power of demons. I don't go that route.
No.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
here's the
Shall a
thing.
demon then
Um,
cast out the devil?
I with my story with Farrell, I don't the only magic route I've only done is the fact that Roxanne, Jason's girlfriend, has claws that can literally cut through anything because of magic, quote unquote. But that's not
Mm-hmm.
because it's not demonic magic. It's just claw
Mm-hmm.
magic.
Right.
It was given to her actually because she was born this way because of God. That's
Mm-hmm.
really it's a God given ability.
Right.
Does that make a sense?
And this no, absolutely. And I think this just kind of gets into no matter what medium we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's say we talk comics.
Mhm.
Tolkien took a huge step by writing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But we see who the primary fan base is. It's not Christians.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with comics. That's what we do with anime. That's what we do with TV shows. Christians, if we get involved, we dominate. But we've chosen to say no to so many things. We've allowed for the world to have dominance in these fields, and that's why they have Hollywood influence. That's why they have influence in our TV shows now, because we gave them the power and authority.
I'll clap. Yeah.
Exactly. Like when the
I thought you
radio
were blaming white people. I'm sorry.
when the radio first
What?
came out, a lot of Christians were like, "Oh,
Kid,
this is
what?
going to be an instrument of evil." Same thing with television. Oh, this is
Satanic
going to be an
fire.
instrument of evil. If we would have,
Mhm.
I agree with you. If we would have gotten involved early on, yeah, we would dominate the space.
People debate that it's Christian nationalism. I'm like, no.
No,
I mean, to
that's
me,
what the world does now. They literally influence everything. They
Yeah.
mhm,
influence every aspect of culture. They influence the music. They influence the movies. They influence all of it.
Yeah. I'm
mhm.
like, they're like, we're the issue? Oh, we the issue. We barely say a thing.
We
We
get
need
That's the problem.
misrepresented, if anything.
Okay. In the words of Maddie Mullins of Memphis Mayfire, stop blending in and start speaking out.
Yep. Blending in. No.
Thank you. Okay. Ken's
I'm
losing it.
sorry.
Ken.exe has
I
stopped
am.
working.
I'm sorry. And can I confess something to y'all?
Sure.
Y'all can
But
post this part too. It's fine.
okay,
Not the ultimately vulgar ones, but I like a light racist joke. It cracks me up. It makes me laugh. I get a kick out of it. That's why he
So
was
did
like
Salmon.
this. I'm like, you saying it's white people's fault? Is it white people's fault?
No, that was a golf
Hollywood?
clap. That was a golf clap, you weirdo.
Oh man.
You know,
And
the
I mean,
bravo, that's all it made.
just think about like scary movies. You don't ever really have that many black people. Why? Because we're not going to be in that situation. There's not a single. There's only like one black person in every Resident Evil game. Why? Because we're not going in that house.
I can
We're not
guarantee.
chasing these zombies. We're leaving.
I can guarantee
No.
if I was the one saying that, I'd be on a pedestal and everyone would call me racist. But since
No, you can say that.
but
If
since-
you make a valid statement like that, we wouldn't be in a zombie apocalypse situation. We'd be leaving. Yep, you got that right. We'd let that pass.
okay, I'm just
well,
very
to be fair, Leon's going in to roundhouse them.
We're not doing all that.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Mm-mm. I ain't roundhouse and nothing. No.
my gosh,
But
this episode's
do you know
gonna
why
be
there
great.
aren't any Southern people in horror movies?
Oh,
Because they
see,
all just shoot them in the face with a shotgun.
that's what I was worried about with Resident Evil 7. The old guy kept calling me boy. I'm like, that's kind of racist. Oh wait, he's not talking to me. He's talking to Ethan. It's fine.
Okay.
Had to remember that.
Once again, we've wrapped a trail, and I love it.
Yeah, it's been great. And yeah, let's see. So
But
let's end it off soon because yeah, we're almost at an hour.
But yeah, that's actually a topic I want to say. Ended off thinking about kind of wrapping everything up. I think that's actually another reason. One reason why I think the superhero genre is so popular and has stayed is because within each of our souls we have a desire to be saved,
Yeah.
and that's what, at least what it used to be. Now I'm not so sure, but that's what the superhero genre used to be all about. These mighty heroes saving people.
Mhm.
Is sacrificing and saving people, and
Yep.
also it's one, it gave people something to strive for, like hey, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. I can be better, I can be live to the fullest of my life. But it resonated with the inner desire of us to be saved. It's just like Ben Affleck even talked about in an interview why he loved Batman so much, and he was like, I wish that there was a real superhero that could save us from ourselves. And I read that and I'm like, there is, Ben. There is.
Literally, Ben, there is. There literally is.
It's like, dude, the character you play knows that there is, because originally Batman was Catholic.
Right.
Like in the very first origin of Batman, you see him as a child by his bed praying to God, saying, give me a chance to make this right. And you see that throughout little bitty, every now and then a writer will show Batman's Catholic side. Most of the time they really don't, but it's like, that's honestly what makes him so unique, is like, if you, with that mindset of him being a Catholic, that makes his character make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though I have some problems with the whole no kill rule, when done right, it does show a very Christian parallel. And, a lot of people resonate with him is because, he never gives up. He keeps going, he'll fight. He uses fear and against enemies, but when it comes to, saving people, you see him be more human, especially towards children. You'll see him comfort them and stuff like that. But it's like, but yeah, so it's like, I think really to boil it down, that's why superheroes are so popular, is because we want to be saved.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to say this real quick. There's also a few comics I've seen where I think even Spider-Man's actually a Christian, because there's a few conversations he actually has with God, like Yahweh.
That was such a good comic.
Yeah,
I haven't heard the one where he talks to God. I have.
You've never seen? Oh my god! Okay, real quick though, Superman was Christian.
I have this one.
Nice.
This one he talks to the one above all.
Yeah, that's the one we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Yeah. That's my favorite.
Like, Captain America.
What
was
issue
Christian.
is that?
Is Back in Black issue? I don't know. Number 40. Back in Black issue number 40. The Sensational Spider-Man.
Oh, I need to read that.
That was so good.
It's good.
Because
it's also the one when he beats up Kingpin. That's when he beat up Kingpin. Like,
such a good fight.
Bad without the symbiote suit, and he threatened everyone in the prison.
Oh yeah,
it's the same. That's the same run because Aunt May's still in the hospital.
Yeah, it's so good. So I remember someone doing a little voice acting skit on TikTok where he says, "Hey God, just for like 5 minutes, can I just not be involved in all of this?"
Yeah.
Never mind. Just kidding. All good.
Well, I kind of want to talk about this very briefly for our listeners. In the comic, it looks like Aunt May's gonna die. She doesn't. She survives, but at this point, she's pretty bad. And he goes outside and he starts beating a dumpster. And this guy goes, "Oh, I bet you that dumpster won't ever hurt anyone again." And they start talking. Well, then he figures out that this is God, and he says, "I'm the one above all." And then they start talking about, why did this happen? He's like, why did I have the powers? And he's like, because I destined it to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
And
so good.
This part this part kind of left me in awe. He literally takes him to a beach and shows him these hundreds of thousands of people and said, "These are all the people you have saved." He's like, "This right here is because of you." Because, Peter was like, I haven't done anything. He's like, "This is what you've done." And he goes, "I know at the moment this doesn't make anything feel better. It doesn't make you feel any better because of the situation with your aunt." He's like, "But whenever you feel like giving up, I want you to remember them." And then he's like, "Well, what if I don't have any strength left?" And he says, "Just have a little bit of faith, Peter."
Chef's kiss.
I was
He's like, I
just
want the
like,
book. Give me
"Oh,
the book.
wow."
That's
I'm like, "Oh
that's
my
Spider-Man.
gosh."
I don't care what anyone says. That's Spider-Man. As a matter of fact, I want him to have that moment. I know he doesn't have Aunt May in Brand New Day, but I want him to have that moment at some point.
Yeah. It's gonna I hope it happens. I really do. But we are at the 1 hour mark, and I think we should wrap things up.
All right, guys. It's been fun.
What do you
That was a
think?
good episode.
Yeah, really good. So want me to do the outro, or actually, why don't we do ChristXComix do the outro?
Oh, how do I do that?
Don't you know our slogan?
Off the top of my head, no.
Oh,
Here,
okay.
you do it.
I'm an
I'll do
old
it.
man. My
do
memory
it.
is horrible.
Okay, it's okay. I hope you
I
guys have
barely
enjoyed
remember mine.
this. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the Crossplace podcast, where we talk about faith, pop culture, and everything else in between. This is me, Nico Wolfie, with ChristXComix and Samick Productions. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Have a good one.